That's a good gig there, it is. Somebody take it.
Tom did not know.
We'll call this regular scheduled August 23rd meeting of Fiscal Court into order, and we'll start the day out as we traditionally do with the invocation by Magistrate Short.
We'll all pray today. God, we thank you for this beautiful day that you've given us. Thank you for your many blessings. Thank you for grace today, Lord. Thank you for your love one for another. We're still praying for Missy that she gets well soon so she can be back to work. And let's keep Tom in prayer today. And people in our church, they need prayer. We're praying for them today. Praying for our nation. We need to pray for our nation today. And God bless the United States of America. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. You'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Next order of business is to approve the previous meeting minutes, and you have that on your iPad and in your packet.
So moved.
Second. A motion to approve the minutes made by Magistrate Gay and second by Magistrate Simmons. Are there any changes or corrections to the minutes? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, Mariah, I know you're ready to go.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so you all saw, I gave you all a little addition this morning. Our bills to be paid totaled out at $3,074,036.97. Standing orders paid out totaled at $667,611.97.
Move we pay the bills as presented.
All right, motion made by Magistrate Gay to approve the bills as presented and seconded by Magistrate Short. Is there any questions by anybody? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, and that motion carries. The bills will be paid. Thank you, Mariah. All right, Darlene, we'll talk about some budget transfers and cash transfers.
I do have some budget transfers. They total $296,530.39.
Do you have those in front of you? Public Works, Health Fund, EMS, and General Fund.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Magistrate K. Wood and second by Magistrate Cullen. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And let's go with the cash transfer.
I have no cash transfers today.
Alrighty, no cash transfers today. That rolls us right into our consent calendar, and first on my list is
General, can we jump down one to give time
for Roger. What?
No, can we, the SRO, can we pause that one and kind of do one of the other ones first?
Oh, yeah. Let's, before you have just for your information, a memorandum of agreement with the Boyle County Soil and Conservation District, and that's between its director, Alan Goggin, and myself. This is for the dead animal removal. I think it's important to note that they are funding through a reimbursement procedure everything that we spend in salaries, fuel, and provide the truck at no cost to the county fiscal court, except our labor, but which is compensated for out of the appropriations that they provide annually. Okay, if it does for any reason not in the contract or the agreement, if it doesn't get to that point, then that delta or difference between paying all the expenses and what they appropriate at $70,000 a year would be sent back to them, held in abeyance as a reserve to buy a new vehicle. Anybody have any questions? If the program's working quite satisfactory.
We got a letter, I guess everybody got it, that, they were funding it, the soil conservation fund was funding the dead animal removal, 100%. And then the next day, we get a letter apologizing. Did you see that?
No, I don't think I did.
Yeah, anyhow, they recovered real fast, and it was a joint deal with this before,
Yeah.
Yep.
so.
How many animals would you guess we pick up a year? Got any idea? Round it off.
Well, over 100 at the judge.
Yeah, I'm gonna say closer to 250 a year. See, we, at one time, back when I first came in, it was thought that we were being billed by Bluegrass Recycling for almost 2,000 head a year. There's no physical way that was going through the system for that kind of money. And then when they went out of business, it was almost a feeding frenzy with vendors saying it would take 125 up to 180 to replace that capability if that's the number that Bluegrass was doing. There's no way they were doing those kind of numbers, okay? So, but it wasn't, the Soil Conservation District picked up the whole tab, and whatever it was is what it was. But now that we provided the labor, and they're reimbursing us for salary and benefits and fuel and everything else, I'd say close to 250. On average, they will have some one animal days, and some they'll average 6 to 8 a day.
For the program, glad it's working out well.
It's working out well. The one thing that I do see coming at some point in time is a vehicle replacement, which they bought and gave us the keys to. But we're keeping it up right now. So the benefit of us having our own mechanic out there at Public Works is paying huge dividends, both with EMS and others.
You need a motion to approve the MOA?
That would be good.
I'll
That
make
would be
that
good.
motion.
I second.
Okay, motion made to approve the MOA with Boyle Soil and Conservation District made by Magistrate Gay and seconded by Magistrate Salmons. Are there any other comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. That motion carries unanimously. Now, next on my list is the Industrial Revenue Bond Project, and we met with representatives of the city. I'm trying to think, was it last week or it was last week? Yeah, it was last week. And we were on a video conference call with the May Group. And the May Group is looking at a bypass development here in the community, okay? And the industrial revenue bond, and Julie, you can help me out on some of this, what would be to help, what it asks of the county is to forego the property tax. The property tax on the property for a 30-year period. But there are other offsets in the agreement in addition to the occupation tax we get from the construction and from the businesses operating and stuff like that, net profit taxes and stuff, as they develop and grow for those 30 years. The project is substantial, and I won't mention any names that I've heard associated with it, but it would be of business interests that are not currently in Danville or Boyle County. So it would be a stimulus for the area of marketing, I think, in a huge way. So I think this is actually a very much of a win-win situation for everybody. We give a little, but we don't really end up over the period of time. We actually don't really give up anything. It's just the going in proposition of doing what we do with the IRB.
You want the estimated numbers?
Yeah.
The
property tax that you would be foregoing is about $6,500 a year for 30 years. The payroll tax that they estimate is about $308,000 a year for 30 years, or so. in
That
the
we would
first-
be gaining.
We would be gaining. It's a $34 million project with 600 and some jobs.
And we gain the payroll tax from once they start digging in that dirt. So we get the payroll tax on the construction workers, not just when the project is finished, so.
There's not any net profits tax.
There would be.
Is
But
it in
that's-
your number?
It's not. They're coming in 2 weeks.
They're coming in 2 weeks to make a presentation to us
To give you
from,
better numbers.
yeah,
But
give us
that's what
better
they gave
numbers.
us Wednesday.
You want a motion, sir?
Yes, sir. I would
Please.
like
I'll
a
make
motion
that
of
motion.
support for the city.
And I will make it in honor of the first one that I ever saw do this, and that was Guy Richardson, many years ago. The court supported him in it.
Second.
Guy
Good
was
deal.
a fine
Good deal.
fellow.
And the motion is to support the city of Danville's application for an IRB to be used as an incentive for economic development project.
And if I believe correctly, the school board has also supported this as well because they.
I believe that's true because
They would be
they're
for it.
taxing the entity.
We will hear it in September.
In September?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Are there any other questions or anything about this IRB on this project here in the community? All right, all those in favor of the motion of support, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, and the motion carries unanimously. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And that's a good statement for Guy Richardson. That's how it worked, because that's a name from the past that some of us may know and some of us may not know, but that's a good deal. Thank you for that.
Well, it's not a guy, he's about like,
Yeah.
your pal, what name recognition.
Yeah. Next, I want to go up and talk about school resource officer implementation and funding. And Sheriff, you and the superintendent, if you'd like to take the podium and present to the court a concept and what has been discussed and what is in the procedural planning phases right now.
My goal's always been to have a school resource officer in every school, and that's what's trending right now. And my hopes was to be proactive instead of reactive. Historically, first responders are always reactive. They're always changing after something happens, and that's not good enough, in my opinion. Example, just recently I've seen several articles where a lot of these law enforcement agencies are now ordering their vehicles with bulletproof windows because there's been several this year that have been ambushed and shot in their car. The one actually in Eastern Kentucky, one of those officers was killed through his windshield. And so people are reacting and getting bulletproof windshields. So our goal is to kind of get ahead of that and get guys in all these schools so that it is such a deterrent that in hopes nothing like that would ever happen here. So our goal is to get some retire rehires to put in there where we're not paying benefits and insurance, and getting these guys in the schools so that they're present, visible, creating relationships with the kids, and hopefully it's a deterrent for something like that to happen here.
Yeah, and I think it's
I
effective.
think everybody knows Superintendent Michael Favors from Boyle County Schools.
Yeah, appreciate the opportunity to be here today. I think it's effective. Our parents, they communicate to us, they like seeing the police officer there. They know that it makes their child safer. I think we all know the stories in the news we hear about, and there's heightened concern now, but we need to stay vigilant. Even when the media stops covering it, we got to continue to make it a priority. I think for us to do the work we're trying to do for kids, we need collaboration with entities like yours. We can't do it by ourselves, and we have to work together with people, and we really appreciated and enjoyed the relationship we've had with you all. Our board considered this revised contract last week, I believe it was last week, and so we think it's a good agreement that we think makes our children and our staff safer and that the community supports. So,
Naturally, there's a lot of things that we don't want to talk about because it could get into what the military would refer to as those need to know kinds of things, and not everybody needs to know. But I think this is a huge step forward. I don't know where we stand in the Commonwealth, but the fact that the county could consider entering into an arrangement with the school district and the sheriff's office to provide this security and safety concept to all of our greatest resources, which are our children, is a huge step and a positive step forward, proactive, as the sheriff said, not rather than reactive. And what we have through some talks is negotiated to a point where if I want to cage this in a year one and then out years kind of thing. I know what the school system is doing, what the sheriff is doing. If the county fiscal court finds its way to approve in year one a $60,000 appropriation for the program itself, would fill in the piece of the puzzle to make it happen. But on year one, there is an additional requirement, and that's a fielding of 2 police cruisers for remote campus locations, and we need to add another $36,000 to that on year one, which would buy potentially 2 cruisers, Chargers, from I guess the city of Chicago at a discounted rate. They still have a portion of their warranty attached to each vehicle. The reason I want to push for the year one concept with the vehicles, which is $96,000, is that, to me, if there were ever a person minded to try to do harm in going forward, that vehicles and its presence on campus would be a deterrent, because they're going to think about knowing that somebody in there is ready to go. And so I'm going to leave it at that. So I think that's a huge piece of what we need to do on year one. Year two out, it drops back to $55,000, $60,000 a year at that point, going forward to make everything work. But if we can get the vehicles in the package on year one, then the sheriff, through some of his resources, has agreed to put lights and whatever radios and whatever is needed on decals and stuff to make that the response vehicle or the SRO's vehicle, school resource officer's vehicle, that it needs to be on those campuses. So I want to hear what the court has to say.
What is the school board's financial involvement in this, if any?
The agreement says $145,000 yearly,
Which is a bump up. They were at 100,000.
Yeah.
and it makes mention of COLA considerations going forward as well. Of course, the agreement's a year by year, and so what would happen is the sheriff would just communicate what those COLA requirements are, and that will be considered in the next contract.
So it changes every year.
It changes every year. What it was last year was 100,000 for 3. This is 145,000 for 5. But with the COLA consideration, which hadn't been mentioned, I mean, I think 100,000 for 3, that'd have been like 4 or 5 years in a row, probably.
Yeah, yeah.
So it doesn't change a lot, but it can't, it would be adjusted based on, and of course, we all know this inflationary environment we're in with wages going up and up and up. I think there needs to be a consideration in there to protect you all and the sheriff from increased costs.
And these are all retires, so there's no medical.
They're all retired.
Except for one. We have
Except
one
one.
that is full-time. We've had one of them there
And
since the
that's
inception of our contract.
strictly on medical, I think, because of the insurance he carried forward into retirement, or is that right?
I'm sorry?
Is that the insurance, medical insurance he carried into retirement on the
no.
individual?
The retiree hires are covered by their retirement insurance, and they're receiving the benefits, so it would not be an addition of retirement and insurance on those guys.
Sheriff, if you have you fill the whole slots,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
or you gonna all fill?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Well,
I know the bus drivers is appreciating it.
Oh, it's very effective.
Yeah.
With qualified law enforcement trained individuals.
And that's what Ronnie brought up is important. it's usually in the mornings or in the afternoons when students are getting out or getting into schools that they become the worst targets. When
Most
you have-
vulnerable time.
Yeah, most vulnerable time when you have most kids out there, which includes staff, bus drivers, kids, everyone. So I know Junction had come up with something where they were going to try to have somebody out there in the morning and then a drop off, but this gives an all-day presence. Because if you really think about it, these officers will kind of be out at these remote locations that would probably take a little bit longer for people to get out to. So having people there dedicated will be huge for the people local and the kids.
Makes a huge difference for our two community schools in Perryville and Junction.
Yeah.
Huge difference. Because what ends up happening is you have an SRO who spends some time out there, but they're having to travel and then get to the next location and having there full time. Big difference.
Isn't it important to have socialization between the students?
Oh,
and
that's
law
huge.
enforcement?
Huge. Yeah, sure is.
I know kids still miss Ricky and Petey.
Yeah. Which is now at Junction.
Yeah. And I have to give a good amount of credit. Of course, with Judge, but when Sheriff and I were talking about things that his department needed, he's always been very conservative about things. I know that some of the vehicles can get a little more expensive, but in general, he's always watched what he's spent. But he really said if we want to do something, we should really think about putting some more resource officers out at the schools. And then from there, General and I and Sheriff had a talk and
Started talking with us.
yeah, we brought in Mr. LaFavors. He thought he was in trouble at first.
What being called to the judge's office for?
Yeah, and so when we dropped the good bomb on him, you can see he was relieved. So anyway, but I appreciate Sheriff being thoughtful on this, and then I know that when I talked to General, he said actually it was something that was just on my mind. I wanted to actually start talking about too. And so I my wife works at Woodlawn. My kid goes, my son goes to Woodlawn, my daughter goes to the middle school, and my other daughter goes to the high school. And so, I am very worried about various situations, especially now that they're kind of spreading apart. So I'm very grateful for the thought on this.
Well, the sheriff's been involved with this for many years, haven't you, Sheriff, trying to get it?
Yeah, it's.
Resource officers.
I mean that's this and like canine. That's kind of my passion. You kind of fall into niches when you're in law enforcement. Some people like DUIs and this, but these have kind of been my two passions, and I'm excited to have the opportunity to put guys in all the schools.
You still take a dog up to schools?
We have one that is in the high school actually right now. We do, yeah, and.
Is that Galen? So
It's a German short hair pointer.
German short hair pointer is beautiful.
Big baby, the kids love him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know they do. That's the reason I asked you.
Yeah. Kids love him.
Jamie, you had a question?
What, if any, of this can we take out of the sheriff's budget?
We're
to
paying.
support this?
We're paying for which we haven't asked for a car in the last, I guess, 3 years now, counting COVID. We've bought our own out of excess fees, so I feel like we were kind of compromising from that aspect. It's going to cost us about $50 in our payroll as well. Other than fuel, I don't know what else we
They're
get.
providing the skinning or the decaling and the radios and
We're going to equip the
lights.
car.
They're going to
with-
equip the cars at 6,000, roughly
It's-
6,000 to 7,000 feet.
It's all
No, I'm
three
just thinking going
organizations.
forward, though, does this then, are we going to be able to absorb more of this going forward into the sheriff's budget?
The hopes is that the temporary funding from, I guess, the ARPA funds, that the state and federal government are going to get together and figure out a way to supplement the cost of what's going forward. I guess this is a Band-Aid right now.
Yeah.
From the aspect of our budget, I guess, the only thing we asked for this year were new vests, and
we haven't had cars in the budget for 3 years, other than fuel and vehicle maintenance and things like
Yeah,
that. I
because
don't-
I'm just saying that, even though they're retirees, you still, the personnel costs keep rising each year.
The money actually has $3,000 for equipment to outfit them, uniforms, weapons, duty gear, and those types of things. And regardless, wherever it came from, whether it was the 60 or our 50 that we're putting, that is included into the outfitting of the vehicles.
This also helps with staffing issues. Instead of pulling somebody from the street to come staff in case somebody needs vacation, in case somebody's sick, where they only have 3 right now, and if somebody goes down, then you have a problem. Where you have 5, you can technically still, between Woodlawn, the alternative school, and the high school, you can still technically on one campus have 1 officer there, essentially. But the state has mandated that these schools have an increased presence on campuses. And usually when that happens, hopefully in the next year, or the next session, they will put through some sort of budgeting for that. Since they've made the requirement, then that's kind of our hope. Where we're thinking in the next 2 years that we will have to probably fund this, and then we will start to see something from either the state or the federal government to pay for these programs.
They're also good at unfunded mandates.
They're great at it.
Well, so, I mean, it's a obviously much needed and tremendous idea and thought, but we do have to make sure budgetarily it works for everyone.
That's why it's important we speak to our local state legislators and tell them that this is something that needs to happen.
I do want to make a point, and Mike, you can help me with this. You've not heard us mention the city schools, and as I understand it, the superintendent of the city school, Danville Independent, has reached out to the Danville Police Department to provide that same coverage of safety and security through that resource, and that's why you haven't heard us mention it in this capacity. Is that correct?
I understand the same.
Yeah.
Well, this is an important piece of the puzzle, but the school has to button up its.
Oh, we've talked about that, and that's the part I don't want other need to know.
But that's gotta be done also.
They've actually
Done a lot
spent
lately.
tons of money on an infrastructure that it's a notification system on door breaching and different things along, without getting into specifics on how that works. It is phenomenal. Like,
that's great
top of the line.
because it's all gotta work together.
It does.
Yes.
And
And
we
they'll
spent
try to
over,
get
we
them
spent
on
over
schools.
$250,000 in the last 12 months on that very thing he's talking
Go
about.
back and read the report on the Texas school and the things you don't.
Yep.
It's a wonderful example of helping to educate how to button up.
And those were actually proactive actions before that even happened.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they were looking in the future to that, but I'm sure he'd be glad to explain to you kind of how that
Don't
works.
need to,
But it's state of the art system. It really is.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, sorry. I interrupted you, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine,
Anybody else have any questions? Okay.
So what they ask is that we fund this year at about 96,000, and so I'll make that motion.
How's it paying to the budget?
Yep, Darlene?
We have received some funds that were unexpected this year, so I think there's plenty to cover what we need for this going forward.
So we have a motion to approve the $96,000 appropriation to make this program work, made by Magistrate Cullen and seconded by Magistrate Sammons. Now, in addition to the information just provided, is there any other questions before we call for the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Much
Thank
appreciated.
Thank you.
Gotta run. Gotta go to the second.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you coming.
Thank
both
you.
of
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you. All right, next, Roger, we have you on the schedule for some updates from Shepherd's House.
Good morning, everyone. How are you all?
Morning.
Just
Number
wanted
2
to-
on the schedule, oh man.
That's good. That's kind of good, you know. Just give you a quick update about Shepherd's House. Continuing to grow and expand here in Boyle County. Served over 100 clients last year, 103 clients. We had a 51% completion rate, which is the highest that we've had in the 6 years that we've been around. So that's made me proud to be a part of this. The work that Chris and Patrick have been able to do with Blake and helping people access the program. Some flexibility on our end to accommodate everybody the best way that we can. We've added some new clinical staff there, so we're able to offer, we partnered with New Vista for the longest time to provide mental health counseling, but we just hired a LCSW at the beginning of the year, and we've been able to see an impact that she's been able to make in our program. And it's been helpful to us, and we're glad to have her on staff. The women's program is still doing well. Currently, we only have 7 women in the program. We're working to get those numbers up, but all 7 are employed. Our biggest employers right now are TransNav and Comfort Suites. They're hiring a lot of our women that are in the program and working with their schedule at the Shepherd's House and things like that, and giving them a safe, supportive environment to work in. So we're happy about that. The biggest thing that I've noticed, and something that I'm super proud of this year, is that the work that Gail Jackson and Adult Ed has been doing with our clients over the last year. We had 3 clients just get their GEDs while they were enrolled in the program, and all 3 of them just started college this week. So
wow.
That's a great thing to be able to see them scrambling to figure out how to get a computer and get their books and log in and all these things. It's been a wonderful experience, something completely different than any of the experiences that we've had over the last 5 or 6 years. So to see that impact that we're making in people's lives is huge, and something that I'm very proud of. Blake and myself just got back from Denver, finishing up the Staying Together Foundation program. We gave our stand, a TED Talk type of presentation about the Shepherd's House, and we've really been able to highlight the work that we've done here in Boyle County, that we've all done here in Boyle County to make a difference in our community. And really, we got selected because of the disruptive process that we take to our approach to addiction, right? And that's really what got us selected as one of 12 nonprofits from across the country. We said the first time we got there and we started meeting these other organizations, I really wasn't sure how we ended up there. There's an organization from Florida that takes the worst foster kids in Florida and puts them on sailboats for 6 weeks at a time and sails them to the Caribbean and teaches them team building. You know, there's actual peacemakers there that go to the Middle East and bring communities together and teach them peacemaking and team building, right? And then there's me and Blake from the Shepherd's House in old Boyle County, you know? But the feedback that we've received when we were able to get up and tell people about what we do here and how we have elected officials that are willing to take a chance on people, even if they've seen them 5 or 10 times, right? They know that they just need a little bit more, and they're still willing to invest in them. And those investments end up having huge payouts. Like, you know, I wish she could have came here with me. Her name's Stacy Ford. She just graduated our program. She had a letter to the editor in the paper a few weeks ago. I don't know if you had the opportunity to read it or not, but a great young woman that showed up in our program. She didn't have her kids, completely broken, didn't know how to live sober, and through the tools that we've been able to provide her, you know, she's taken a hold of it. She got her kids back. She's employed with the testing company that actually does our drug testing for us, and so she's around our office all day. She's giving back to clients, and she's one of those clients that just enrolled in school. So we've made a huge difference in Stacy's life and the life of her 3 children who are going to have their mom, you know. So that's been amazing to be a part of that.
I ran into a young man on the street the other day that was in our detention center, and when we had that occasion where a lot of them had some preachers come in and preach to them and stuff like that, and there were some restatements of their life, dedications of their life. He since has gotten out, and he encountered me, he recognized me on the street, and we started conversing, and he had an upbeat, positive attitude, but he told me he was homeless. So I said, I want you to call or go by and see Roger Fox at Shepherd's House on 3rd Street. And he said that he would, that he also would reach out to James Hunt.
Okay.
So I didn't get his name, but I think it's noteworthy that people, once they do get out, know where to turn for help, and they're willing to do that. And he wanted to stay committed to what he had learned. So he wasn't looking for the easy way out and going back to where he'd come from. And I think that's an important underlying message that we see there, that he wanted to reach out to James and you, and he said, "Will do," and to help correct his homeless situation. And I think you'll. Reason I mention it is I think even where we don't have that direct connectivity going forward, those still know where to go back and get the help to finish polishing off their edge or whatever of reconnecting with society.
Yeah, and even if they don't show up for, substance use treatment or anything like that, well, let's talk about jobs, Where can we help you find a job? Or even if you just want to come here and do adult ed with Miss Jackson or whatever it is, like we're trying our best to help everybody that shows up at our front doors. And on any given day, we'll have, 3 to 5 people just show up that need some sort of help, that we try to connect them with the right resource, and we'll try to do our best. Housing still always going to be,
Roger, one thing that touched me was talking about those 3 people that received their GED and then they were college, correct?
Yes, sir.
Talking about getting books. I think that the court, speaking for all 6 of us, if they need help with their books or something, I'd be glad to start it. Supplying books for one of them.
Yeah.
Just let us know, and we'll make sure that they got their books.
Well, I'll tell you this.
If they're taking that step forward, I think the court ought to be behind them and support them.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate that, and I know they would too. Lucky to have Campbellsville University so close. They provide free books for all students now when you enroll in their programs. EKU's doing something similar, so that's just been a big help to people, because you know how much books cost and what. But thank you. That does mean a lot.
From a skills point, what do we need to do with BCTC to help improve that relationship?
Yeah, I think that there's so much opportunity there. There's so many people that are in the jail today that if they were given a skill, if they were given the opportunity to learn a skill, could create some change in their lives just based off of that, right?
I think the biggest issue is getting them there.
Yeah. Yeah, the bus won't run out there.
The bus won't run out there. And we've talked about this, we talked about it with Dr. Coco and others. We can't get the bus to run out there. It would be great to get the bus to run out there, and I know it's a little farther out, but even up to Campbellsville. A lot of the people that need the education to better themselves don't have the rides to get to the places, and unfortunately VCTC is so far out, that's one of the things we really need to work on is really getting a bus system out there. So,
Roger, the general director came here and spoke with us about a month ago, and he was starting this endowment. His goal was to get $1 million. The purpose for it was to supply everything for these kids that enrolled, so they won't have to come in and say, "Oh, you got $200 for books or this and that," that they would pay for. And I just wanted to judge you everything on how they're doing.
I'm supposed to have a meeting with Dr. Akapo this Friday to discuss some of that. So we want to, kind of brainstorm on what the court thinks. And I won't be non-committal, but I want to hear what he has to say. And you've heard what he had to say when I had to go out and visit with the Jailers Association. We want to discuss that a little bit.
Well, Samson's came out with this, and Kathy knows it, but they have basically 4 tenets that build a strong foundation in people's recovery, and that's home, health, community, and purpose. And we're working, the Shepherd's House has kind of taken that and ran with it. We're looking to address people's home and get them in a stable house, health, obviously, becoming free from substances and working on your mental health. Community, we're building this community. If you want to see a community, you should just drop by on 2nd Street on Thursday night and see the AA recovery community that's outside of those buildings down there. It's huge. There's about 100 people at this meeting on Thursday night. And then purpose, finding people meaningful employment that provides them for their future.
Yeah. I started to share with you earlier that I have a family friend that was visiting us from Philadelphia that was looking for some meetings to go to, and she kind of thought that there wasn't really going to be much around here, and then she pulled up her app, and she's like, wow, I can choose from all these different meetings that are going on around here. So, Roger, I mean, please don't sell yourself short. You are an inspiration to me, and I mean to this community, the things that you have done, and Kathy with ASAP and
Truly,
different
that's
organizations.
the whole community.
I mean, you all are all peacemakers, so you deserve to be there. You know, the things that you all are doing for this community, and it's as a team. And
Sure.
so, you know, it always starts off with that small little ripple, and then it goes out. So don't sell yourself short. You fantastic young man, and I'm happy and blessed to know you.
So I appreciate it. So anything we can do for you guys, please let us know.
Seems like you always have a good attitude, and that's,
You
you got a
know,
smile on your face. I've never seen you with a smile on your face. So.
they were talking about the drug dog in high school, and I was terrified of that dog coming through my high school. But you know, I lived miserable when I was in active addiction, and I got sober, and I said, there's no reason, no matter what's happening in my life, to be miserable or depressed, or, you know, like, man, I'm living on bonus time, honestly. Like, I don't deserve to be here, and I'm going to make the best of it. So,
Thank you.
thank you guys.
I've
Appreciate it.
got a question, if I could. Tell me what's going on here in this county with the homeless issue. What are you all seeing? You're closer to it than
Yeah, it's
we
tricky. I mean, it's a tricky situation. I've talked to Brent a lot about it. Me and Kathy have had lots of conversations about it. We have a somewhat hidden population. I mean, but if you open your eyes, you're going to be able to also spot some folks that are around town. I noticed that a lot of people, if you go to Planet Fitness, they congregate there because, you know, for $10 a month you can get free internet, clean water, cool and heat from the conditions outside, shower and bathroom, you know. So you just go there and open your eyes and you'll be able to see the population. It's going to continue to increase. I think that, you know, as we're working our way out of COVID, and then the inflation, right? People can't afford rent. I can barely afford rent. So, you know, it's just going to be something that's continued to increase. As long as the jail population continues to increase and those people are getting out and they don't have anywhere to go. So I think that we're at a certain level right now, but in a year or 2 years, it's going to be even worse.
Well, we're hoping that, you know, county attorney's working on ankle monitoring programs so they don't automatically go to jail, so they don't automatically lose their job or
Sure.
whatever. So we're hoping that will help keep the levels down. But what about the housing authority? I know they were working on a program.
I'm not sure what the status of that is right now.
Not sure either, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
Still working.
Still, yeah. I guess a place to be is probably the biggest one.
Yeah. I mean, we have we're going to have this stigma that we're going to have to work through. And there's positives and negatives to doing a shelter, you know? I mean, and it's just things that we're going to have to think through and address and work to help people get where they need to be.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would invite, with Kathy's permission, I would invite you all, if you want to learn more about what goes on that you don't read about a whole lot, come to the ASAP meeting once a month, last Friday.
This Friday, yes.
All right? This
Yeah,
Friday,
everybody's
that's one.
welcome. That's right.
8:30,
That's
everybody's welcome. And you really learn what goes on in the underneath belly of this county. And who can help you.
Yeah.
And who you can reach out and get help for people. There's a lot of groups that come to the Kathy's meetings.
One of the most active ASAP boards I've ever seen, and I've been involved with a lot of them through Healing Communities, getting to meet a lot of people with their communities, ASAPs, and none of them are nearly as active as what Kathy and Brent have created here for our ASAP board. So, thank you guys. Appreciate y'all so much.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Roger. All right, Brent, let's, got a new leash on life here, let's see.
All right, we'll see what we got. You know, listening to Mike and Derek and Roger, we truly are blessed in Boyle to have the services and the people we do that just step out and do stuff. It's amazing, but reminds me every day of it's a great place to live. So, all right, let's talk a little taxes and down to kind of the nitty gritty. So, you all know every year I come early June and we approve my tax rate and go on like that. Well, the health departments are now responsible for compensating tax rates. We've always been exempt before, but public health transformation, which started in about 2020, and it was House Bill 129, finally came to fruition, and it's KRS 65A 110, which says that as a tax district, we now have to go through the same process as all the rest of the tax districts. So the Department of Local Government, after I was already here this year in June, called up with the health departments, had a meeting, and started explaining how that process went for us and what we have to do. So as a part of that, I ran all the numbers, and I actually sent that up to DLG, and they ran the numbers also, which is a great resource to me because they verify what it is. And so this year, which is actually starts 2023, but we had approved our rate at 3.7. I need to take that back to 3.6 so that we meet that rate and be legal for this year. In the future, before I ask for a motion or anything, or you ask for a motion on that, the future, what that means is we'll be no different than anybody else. If we wanted to do the compensating rate plus 4%, we'd have to do the public hearing and go through that whole process, and then other taxes on that if we ever got to that. I don't foresee that, but we're in the same ballpark as everybody else. So what I'm asking this year is, and the Board of Health has already met and approved it back to 3.6 for this year. And I've got the forms here that I'll hand to you guys so that you have your copies signed by the board. But I'm asking to rescind the 3.7 and go back to the 3.6 so that we are legal with our tax rate for this year.
You don't want to collect too much money.
Second.
Who made the motion? Motion made to rescind and approve the new tax rate.
Reducing taxes, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
To 3.6 is the new rate that they're requesting, and the motion was made by Magistrate Cullen, seconded by Magistrate Gay. Are there any questions anybody has of Brent on this issue?
I think it's kind of unusual that we have someone come in and lower the taxes. Usually they come in and they want to increase them.
That's why Brent's my favorite.
Yeah.
That's not a
I'm all about being legal. That's for sure. I want to be somewhere else beside that.
I've tried to get him to increase the tax rate for so many years when he can. And so, Brent, you've done a wonderful job. And
Thank you.
We're just lucky to have you in the county.
Yes, we are.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I call the question.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries unanimously, 3.6.
Thank you, guys. Here's the additional.
Okay.
I think you did one correct. All right, thank you, guys.
All right, thank you. All right, next we have Mr. Alan Turbyfill from the Danville Boyle County Economic Development Corporation.
And Jerry Carter's going to lead our discussion this morning.
Okay, all righty.
Jerry, before you get started, I want to thank you for getting my name in and receiving the magazine every month.
Oh, would you get that taken care of?
Yes, sir, sure did.
Even on your address change?
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
If you look on our screens, we have the DBCDC. That's a mouthful. Bylaws. Yeah. CDC. Go ahead, Gary.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and honored members of the Boyle County Fiscal Court. For those who may not know, I am Jerry Carter, President and CEO of Intercounty Energy, here headquartered here in Danville, Kentucky. And along with me today is Alan Turbyfill, President and CEO of Kentucky Trust Bank, also here in Danville, and also our rock star celebrity, Ms. Kathy Miles, Coordinator of the Boyle County Agency for Substance Abuse Policy. We come before you representing the newly formed Danville-Boyle County Economic Development Corporation. It is our sincere hope that the Fiscal Court of Boyle County will not only endorse, but join in our efforts as we begin a new chapter in improving the economic vitality of Danville-Boyle County and our region. With regrets, Dr. John Roush, Chairman of the Danville-Boyle County Economic Development Authority, could not be here this morning due to a prior commitment. However, we met with Dr. Roush yesterday afternoon to review the Development Corporation bylaws and the PowerPoint handout that you have before you, and he wanted us to let you know that he has given his full support to the Danville-Boyle County Development Corporation as presented to the court this morning. Now, you have before you, and on the slides, a PowerPoint. I'm not one to really read you the PowerPoint, but there are a couple pages I think are of major importance. And the first one is the first page. The goals of the organization transition is to be more nimble and a responsive decision-making board. Improve supervision of staff, to integrate the EDA into the economic development efforts of the organization, continue to engage a broad range of community members and resources needed to address numerous and complex economic development challenges, and promote a good faith effort by all parties to work together for the benefit of the community. You know, one thing, and on a side note, that I've noticed in this morning's meeting, and really it's on your seal, rich in history, tradition, and opportunity. And this whole meeting has been about opportunities. Opportunities with the Shepherd House, opportunities with the School Resource Office, and how the Boyle County Fiscal Court is working with the community. And I applaud that and I support that. Some people, you know, if you go, yes, thank you, next slide. Here's an entire, it's not a fully comprehensive list, but the major points of what economic development tasks are. And that's why it's a very complex organization, and it takes a well-trained leader, and that's who we'll be looking at. And also in this is more of a give and take. I want to know your questions. I want to know your thoughts as we go forward, because that's important. I don't do presentations. I do talks. I want to have conversations. The only way we get better, and I'm a continuous improvement guy. And I realize when you look at a process or a procedure, you're going to find flaws. The key is that you fix the flaws and improve it. And then you go back and review it ever so often.
Since it's an interactive dialogue here, Jerry, can you tell us what the position of the corporation is with regard to last week's newspaper article on moving forward?
I'm going to tell you, I had not read the article yet, and I got on sent some text messages saying don't read the article. So I'm going to let Alan address that.
Well, I would just say please disregard the newspaper article. It had so many inaccuracies in it.
It had some very accurate things in there too, so we're not going to dismiss the article.
Well, correct.
The
in terms
the
of
30-day, you know, you guys have a 30-day notice to join our team, or else.
So this is going to be all those details are covered in this presentation.
Okay. It's in the packet that
I don't want to sit here and say the article was completely not factual when it actually was.
But all the key information is going to be presented here, so you'll get it all correctly in this presentation.
Okay. Moving forward.
Okay. If you will turn to page 4. And this is really over the bylaws. It's a new organization summary. The name change to the Danville-Boyle County Development Corporation. It's still a public-private partnership. The partners are the city and hopefully the county. the two development organizations, the EDA and the BCIF. One of the main points we want to get across is that the board is reduced from 17 to 9. It also incorporates a personnel committee in the bylaws that clearly defines supervision. The directors are required to sign a code of ethics and other codes and policies for the board.
Whose code ethics?
Question is, would it be the county's, which has one of the best that there is, or what will it be?
It's up to the board. It just says there will be a code of ethics, so once the board is formed.
I would recommend that you strongly consider what our policy is, because it's very comprehensive.
I think that's, yeah.
It was just recently updated with a lot of time, thought put into it.
Yeah.
We want you as participants. Okay, we're definitely going to seek your input.
Judge, we want you there
We
making
want
that
you there.
recommendation to the rest of the board.
Not at 9. You guys don't want any of our other opinions. Everyone keeps saying you want us to be part of the team. There's no I in team, and this is going on for, everything has just been EDP wants this, EDP wants this. And, there's no listening that happens at all. I'm sorry. I just think that, for years we've asked for a better, more nimble EDP, and it wasn't given. And then now when the city and the county finally put their foot down and say, you know what, we're not putting up with this anymore, we want to move on, now the EDP wants to listen. So I really still think that the Boyle County Fiscal Court needs to sit back, and if you guys want to form this corporation or whatever, form it, and we'll look to see if there's any actual changes. I don't think there's going to be, because
No, I just disagree completely
Well, you
with
can
those
disagree all you
comments.
want,
Jason, I think we've got to, we're losing ground every day that we keep
we've been losing
kicking
ground
this
for years.
down the road. So it's time to get this put together and get moving forward, and stop, playing around with some, personal
It's not
struggles and issues that we have. We've got to get together as a community and move forward on this.
Well, I'm going to have to agree with Jamie. You, as a citizen of this county and what have you, and we are always trying to help our constituents any way we can. I don't see how that we can afford not to be a member with you guys, because I'm just looking ahead. Say there's a company out here that's looking at different communities to relocate to, okay? And then they look at, put up Boyle County. Well, these guys never can get along. Danville is arguing with the court, and the court's arguing with everybody else, and we don't need to go there and get in the middle of their fuss. So therefore, we lose that company. And I know we've got a lot of problems, but I think we need Jason to look ahead and at least give these guys a try. I didn't like that letter in the paper. And,
we can give them a chance. Doesn't mean we have to spend the county taxpayer money at the same time, because that's what it's going to come down to. So we've got to
that's the
contribute.
goal we have. As long as I've been in, I've always tried my best to do what's right and to help our constituents.
I think everybody tries to do what they feel is right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, everybody tries to do what they feel is right.
But unfortunately, this is a corporation that has had some successes, but opportunities. We've had a lot of missed opportunities.
We've had several missed.
So why do you continue to allow that to happen with essentially this? They can blame Jody all they want, but it wasn't Jody's fault. Jody was understaffed. He was expected to do everything. We had money on the table from the fiscal court for at least the last 2 years, where they could have come and said, we'd like that extra $30,000. We really want to hire somebody else, so that way, we can actually help staff and run economic development right, and it wasn't done.
I would ask that you allow us to go through the rest of this presentation. This is a huge change from the organization of the past, and we want to make sure that all of you all are aware of the details of the new organization. So this is good discussion, but I think we need to see what that new organization is.
Okay, Jerry,
Well,
you're on page 4.
if I may deviate a little bit to Magistrate Salmon's comments, You're 100% correct, sir. I moved back, for those who do not know, I'm a native Danvillian. Graduated Boyle County High School. In fact, you're going to hear too much about me, but I started out at St. Peter and Paul when it had a Catholic school. It tells you how long it's been. But I also spent many years in South Central Kentucky. And what Magistrate Salmons is talking about right now is occurring where I came from, Glasgow, Barron County. And they're just bickering. If you look at the newspaper, you look at the Facebook, and companies are not coming because they do not want to be a part of a dysfunctional family.
Well, all this was probably because among yourselves and being able to trust somebody and all this, they don't want to be part of it.
And so that's my 2 cents worth on that. I'll get back to the, and I'm going to go back to page 3 because one of the things, as you know, back in 2021, which is over a year ago, there were site visits made into some of the communities in the state that have more vibrant economic development organizations, looking at how they were formed. And it seems that most of them and all the participants who went, and I don't know the participants, Judge, I think you were one, but most of them had a public-private partnership of some sorts on what worked for their community.
They did.
Okay. So I wanted to make that point. And then, you know, we can go to page 4, please. And I'll carry on that, you know, one of the key that is different that I keep hearing is there is a personnel committee in the bylaws, and the participant are the judge executive and the mayor of Danville.
And the chairman of the corporation.
Right, but you two, it's 2 of the 3. The
But
judge and the
also
mayor.
in there is that the board can put together another personnel committee as well if they want, right?
No, the bylaws specifically stipulate the personnel committee, so you'd have to change the bylaws. The board can form other committees.
The board can form other committees.
Yes, but you always have to have, a board has to be able to form committees.
I understand that, but
But the personnel committee is included in the bylaws, so to not do that as written would require a bylaws change, which is a 2/3 vote of the board of directors to do the bylaws change.
So we had heard reports that there was a proposed 5-member personnel committee, and I don't think that's accurate, if I understand it correctly.
That's not accurate. The discussion was with Mayor Paris, we wanted to keep the personnel committee small and defined, very well defined. The discussion with Mayor Paris was, one of the first challenges of this new board is going to be hiring the new staff. That's probably going to need to be more than 3 people. Could it be beefed up? And certainly the board could form a search committee, and they may decide, let's have 3 people from the personnel board plus these 2 others. You could even bring in people from outside the board to support the search committee. You could bring professional staff. You could ask the Boyle County HR manager to be on, staff for the HR. I mean, the board can do whatever they want to as far as that's concerned.
Well, if you will turn to page 5, and this again is with the Boyle County Fiscal Court as a partner in with the Development Corporation. And let's remember that, we're asking, there's a 30-day, but you can join. You can request to join at a later date. So this is not, you have 30 days and that's it. Again, I don't know what the newspaper article said, but I do know there was a lot of inaccuracies. And let's realize, folks, you really want to come down to it, we all have the same goal. Every single one of you, we all have the same goal. And we need to be rowing in the same boat together as best that we can. We're willing, look, continuous improvement, it's acknowledging what you did wrong, the missteps taken, and you fix them. We can't hold grudges. We have to move forward, or we will be moving back.
If you're not moving forward, you are moving back. You know,
Well said, well said. I wish I had said it. Page 6 is the bylaws, and it talks about the advisory committee, or the council, I should say. And this isn't an all-inclusive list. This is just what we had come up with. If someone wants to join, absolutely. This is an exclusive council. If somebody wants to join, such as AT&T, well, they're on there, Spectrum. We've tried to reach out to everyone, but it could be just a construction company. If they want to join, we'll be happy, but it does take a 2/3 vote.
You know, just in looking at that list, which I understand this isn't the same thing that this list is created for, but I do think as far as when we do think about utilities, like it's important that we continue to recognize that the city of Danville is one of our major utility providers, and so even though they're a government partner, they are a major utility provider in the fact that they're the water and sewer system in this community, and so it's important to realize that and recognize that as we think about utilities in the community.
Again, this is a kind of a work in progress. This isn't a set in stone. If someone wants to join, we're more than happy to have other people join in this effort of improving our community. Page 7 goes over the advisory council. Again, how future additions, deletions. I don't like reading it. Takes the board of director 2/3 approval. The organization may request or be invited. And Group E, as you had before, is more of a catch-all for needed organizations or individuals. Group A through E has no monetary contribution required, may be solicited for monetary contribution. Group F is the gold and platinum level donors that are not in another group. The representatives on the 9-person board for the advisory council are selected by the organizations, and there's no specified time. If you'll turn to page 8.
Let's
Yes.
pause right there a second.
Sure.
I'm sorry, you're going to page 8, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to pause on.
Okay. It's a 9-member board of directors. The mayor, the commissioner, our commissioner appointed by the commission, the fiscal court, the county judge executive, and a magistrate appointed by the fiscal court, the EDA chair, the BCIF is a director selected by the BCIF board, and then the advisory council, 3 members. Selected by the advisory council members must be from 3 different groups, so we get a broad range. Qualifications are identified. They're a 3-year term, limited to 2 terms, and the terms are staggered. And one thing that we wanted to make known, do you want to stop there? Okay.
I just was going to make the point, and you might have been getting ready to make this point as well, I don't know, but is that in this configuration, and this is one of the things that I think makes this a new day and a new entity, is that it is a government majority structure, and so it is controlled by the people through their elected officials, because the city of Danville, the fiscal court, and the EDA are all government bodies, and so that keeps it a majority government controlled organization.
Because the city and the county do so well getting along together, we're going to be a majority of that.
Well, I'm hoping that's a new day as well.
Oh, okay. I don't know what you're smoking over there.
If you'll turn to page 10, that kind of gives a breakdown what the EDP was and what the development corporation is. The total board of the EDP was 17. The development corporation is 9. The public partner seats, which are the government, you had 8 of a 17-member board. Now you have 5 of a 9-member board. The private partner seats had 9, and they're dropping to 4. The personnel committee is, again, as previously stated, the mayor of Danville, the judge executive, and the chairman of the development court. So if you look on that, you went from 3 of 17 to 2 of 9. The city of Danville went from 3 of 17 to 2 of 9. The BCIF went from 3 to 1. The private donors went from 3 to 1. And the EDA, which is appointed by the fiscal court and the city of Danville, chair, I should say. One thing, if you'll go back one page to page 9, you know, it's not that we discarded looking at 7-member boards, but it for the organization, as you can tell, the original did not have a personnel committee. The alternative did not have the EDA chair. And the EDA chair, we feel, is because of what the EDA brings to the table, would need to have a position on the board. And it's actually in the EDA's bylaws that the chairman of the board serve on the Development Corporation board. And then we did look at a different 7-member board. So it's not like we discounted 7 board seats. We thought to get the broad range that it's going to take to meet the goals of the organization requires a 9-person with the advisory council.
You know, one of the discussions that this body has had with the corporation construct was, could we look at the original and in 2 years reevaluate? And that was decided no. To maybe consider the value of going to 9 at 2 years.
Well, why don't you do 9 and consider in 2 years or 1 year? You fund annually. You fund annually. So, you know, we want you to partner with us. We want this partnership. We want this corporation to succeed because we want Danville County to succeed. We all have the same goal.
We all have the same goal. What is the funding expectation from the participants of the private-public partnership? What is your expectation from the city and the county?
Well, so if you look at the budget this year and recent years, if you have, there's a potential, there has recently been more public funding, more private funding than public funding. Roughly, the city and the county putting in 100,000, BCF has put in about 95,000. The other private partners, so that basically the advisory council people plus others is over 130,000
Each or
so,
total?
Total. So the goal, I mean, we've often talked about the private money being more than 50%. There's some of the communities we visited, you know, they said we like to have 60% private funding, 60-40. So going forward, if you fully staffed, you're talking about a annual budget of 450 to 500,000. I would hope that the public portion of that could be kept to 200,000 and the rest could be private. Now that depends on us getting back out there and raising some of that private funding. We have some private funders who have continued for many years and I think will stick with us, but we need to develop more. And that does 2 things. One, it leverages your taxpayer money by using private money. 2, it saves taxpayer money. And it also allows you all to commit those additional funds for other economic development activities like acquisition and development of property, which is where the EDA comes in. So hopefully this structure will allow you to spend less than you'd otherwise have to spend, so you can spend more on the really tough part of this, which is how are we going to have some more product available for development, land this development. That's the expensive piece. It's not the annual administration, it's that acquisition and development.
That's absolutely right, and that's where, you know, I think that's when you start getting into the millions of dollars. And one of the things I would like to see us do is, because that takes time, and it takes time and a lot of work on a lot of people's part. That's where I want to see us start putting aside and accruing, you know, be it $200,000, $250,000, $300,000 each, and you know, in over 3, 4, or 5 years, then all of a sudden you start to have some real money that becomes seed money in these large-scale projects that it takes to do things. Because, you know, we, like our rail property here in this community is, it's a great piece of property and it's a desirable piece of property, but it's not accessible. And it's gonna take money to make that piece of property accessible, and that's the kind of things that the EDA can become involved in.
Now, Jerry, just help me with this. You know, you and I have talked many times about all of these different elements, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that you've made the statement in your experiences both in Glasgow and Barron County and here, that, choose my words correctly, the EDA provides an opportunity to receive funding from businesses like yourself that you cannot do with EDP, i.e., I would translate to EDC, but EDA you can because the government.
Public-private.
Yeah. You can't do public-private so much as you can
private.
do public.
I can do public. I can do private. I can do public, I cannot do private.
Right.
Well, let me rephrase, I can do private, I just don't want to end up with a field. I'm not a landowner. What I'm talking about with the public is where we can loan money to the EDA with the backing of the city county at a low interest rate. We can help with grants. We can help with infrastructure building that we cannot do to
With
a
public-private.
To a private.
To a private.
To a private. We can to a public.
So EDA is an essential piece of this puzzle going forward.
Absolutely.
Essentially.
You know, that's maybe some of the misconception that I've heard is that we didn't want the EDA. No, you have to have the EDA to fully take advantage of all the opportunities.
Right.
I think that has been a misconception. Personally, there's been a lot of misconceptions.
Well, the one misconception that I zero in on it, that it's limited to only land acquisition. It could be much more than that. But anyway, we're
Development.
yeah.
Jerry, you through with your presentation?
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
I'm almost afraid to say what I'm going to say because it tells birthdays of me. I try to stay away from that.
No, it's a
But I want to share
every
some.
birthday's a good day.
I want to share with all those in this room, particularly the court who has to make a decision. I'm going to go back to John Hill. I was honored to be a part of that back then. We were negotiating with Caterpillar, and I happened to be a part of that negotiations, and I was sitting across from the Caterpillar people. And we were, I can't remember exactly what it was about, but it had to do with what was going to be part of incentives. And you wonder when you're on that part of the table whether what you're going to offer as incentives, is it going to be enough to get in here? Really, that was what I was thinking of. And so we told the lady across from me what our package was. And she said something to me that it was just something I'll never forget. She said, it's not important how big the package is. What's important, you have skin in the game. That's point number one. Last week, Jason, you heard this. And I'm not good at names, but the gentleman who is bringing the battery company to Kentucky. And then somebody in the audience asked him, why did you come to Kentucky? And he said, because they came to us with open arms and everybody was involved, plus a little bourbon. So the point is, we will never be successful with your mission. Your mission is stated in your bylaws. The purpose of DBCDC is to improve the quality of life for every citizen of Boyle County by providing an array of economic development service in a cost-effective manner. You won't do it if we don't do it all together. I'm convinced of that, of the years I've spent in economic development. And those two incidences proved to me that that particular part of the game hasn't changed, even though the game has changed to bring the authority into importance in the big picture. They still want everybody in the game when they're looking for a site. No doubt in my mind about it. The gentleman last, and Jason, you heard it. Am I not right? He said they welcomed us with open arms and a little bit of burden.
And everybody was invited and knew about what was going on.
So the point is, if we're going to meet this, the mission that you have in your bylaws, which is all of our mission, then we have to have a measuring stick, and we have to be a part of the team, as you all have talked about for a long time. And I want to compliment Terry, who called me yesterday and said, "What's in the newspaper isn't right, John." And I was there, and I know it wasn't right. And I really appreciated his courtesy to call me and tell me that. And that's where I came from. I think the court has a little bit of feeling that it's not been part of the game because of some of the misconceptions out there that I will admit. But if you're going to do what's in your bylaws, you gotta have a scoreboard. And that's one of the complaints of the court over several years. There's been no scoreboard. There's been no result. So I took some time and I found this in the Lane report, of which I've shared with the whole court, and I've shared with Alan, I believe. Out of medium household income, and if you're going to improve the quality of life as citizens, I think it starts with the family discussion around the dinner table of how big a car we can buy. Can we go to a movie tonight? Where are we going to send our kids to school for further education? It starts with how much money you got in your pocket. That's pretty basic to me. And out of the Lane report, Boyle County was ranked 13th out of 17 central Kentucky counties. That didn't please me, I'll be very honest. My goal is to do better than that. So I went and checked Bluegrass Ad District. And we moved up. That was good news. We moved up to 11th. That was not good news to me. We can do better. As some stated by Dr. Rouse in his newspaper article last week. We've had successes, but we can do better. We've known we can do better, I think, more than just 6 months ago. You and I have had some conversations, and if you don't mind, I will share briefly.
Absolutely.
We had one about 2 or 3 years ago. I was sitting in the library parking lot.
I came and found you.
And no, you called me, we were on the phone. And
Oh, that's right, I was looking at the library.
And you expressed some things, and you were right. Things could be better. Part of these folks around me are saying, why didn't we start before? Why has it taken us this long to come to this conclusion that we can do better? The same thing that Dr. Rouse said a couple of weeks ago. We have, in my opinion, we have no choice except to come together and do it. But let's learn some of the mistakes of these, or some of the conclusions of these folks, and why they're just got a little disappointed. And what we can do to raise how much money Mary's got in her pocket. Mary and Chris probably have that conversation every now and then. Kathy and Preston, maybe how much money they have, and may make a determination of their quality of life. You all have stated in your bylaws, this is your goal. I think it's a wonderful goal. But we have to do it together based on the statements of, we just want to be sure you got some skin in the game.
I think it's important to point out that, there's, of the group that he has here with the median household income, Garrett County's median household income is about $7,000 more than ours. Mercer County is about 10.
We look at this every month.
So those
Now,
are hard numbers to swallow right there. I mean,
How's that possible?
Well, there's also statistics, and I'm not saying those aren't accurate, those are accurate, but
These are-
statistics.
these are 20,
I know. So-
21, 22.
So median household income, and I agree, we should look at these statistics, we want to do better. I'm not saying no, but statistics are interesting. Median household income, that's the median. We also have looked at, we have statistic on per capita income, and the per capita income in Boyle County is higher than those two counties. The median is lower, and it's a matter of, that makeup of households, and also averaging highs and lows versus taking the median between highs and lows. But we recently
So the
got
highs and lows would actually be more concerning to me, that there's more people on yours that are making more money.
You have a disparity.
You have a
between-
huge disparity.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can see that by driving
Yeah,
around
but that-
various parts of
Right. so-
western Boyle County.
And that's why the goal is all citizens of Boyle County. So we do worry about those, not just the ones up here. And we recently got the first draft of a housing study that the EDP did, and it's got some very interesting statistics in there that point those things out about how the housing in this county compared to the 4 counties, 5 county, basically the economic area of Boyle County. Our housing is more and more expensive than our wages are compared to surrounding county. In other words, wages are higher, but housing is higher, housing is more higher. So we're really dependent on people living somewhere else and then working here,
They are.
which is what they
And
do.
we all know that's market driven, okay? That's a supply and demand issue. But how do we bring that down without affecting a negative impact on the landowners or the property owners?
Well, so the
To
next.
make it more attractive.
Right, and so our daytime population goes up by 2,700 people. We have a bunch leave and work somewhere else, but then we have more come in.
We have more come in.
Way more.
But do we want to house all of those? Because some of the ones, do we want to build housing for all those that are coming in? Or do we want to try to keep more of those that are going out? I mean, those are the tough questions we need to be asking and working towards answers. Not silver bullets solve everything, but some answers.
The people around this table don't know about those conversations because there's no scoreboard, there's no talking about where are we today, and that's what we all need to improve on. Yes,
Can I
sir.
interrupt you, John?
absolutely.
I really don't like to interrupt you because I like to hear you talk. But that's what we're already starting to ask.
Good.
I've asked Brad Thomas and Rodney Hitch through East Kentucky. I'm going to talk with John Bevington out of KU. So what are the metrics other communities that have active economic recruitment, what are they using? That's a question we've already started to ask. A lot of your concerns, we don't have the opportunity sometimes to talk and to discuss because now I shop at Kroger on Sundays.
That's where we do all of our communication.
But
I guess I gotta change my day too.
This is why we want you at this is why we want the fiscal court at the table. With 2 votes of a 9-person board, plus your EDA chair.
We will hurt each other if we're not at the table, and that goes against what you have in your bylaws, and that's what everybody really wants. So my experience is we got to be there together.
Absolutely.
I agree. I mean, you're not going to hear any argument from
I know.
Kathy, Al, or anybody on
I
the
know.
development corporation.
Well, there's a difference.
You give up Brad and send him to Brad Thomas.
Give him up.
You give him up and bring him over to ED, whatever
You
it
try to hire
is.
him?
Then
You
you'll
try to
get my
hire him?
vote.
We'll try to hire him.
I'm gonna tell you,
I don't know if we can afford it.
Yeah, thank you, Judge. I'll let you say that. Brad, because Brad's not, but please understand, he's our resource. Brad Thomas works for me and 15 other CEOs. So Brad's at our disposal. So's Rodney.
I don't know that we cannot have the vision to reach out and get the person who can tell our story, because that's what it's all about. There was a person from Touchstone who spoke last week, and I may have been the only one there. He told his no, it wasn't Brent. It was a guy from Touchstone, but he communicated in such a way, you'd get up and stand on the tables and do whatever he wanted you to do. Some people have that gift, and to me, that's the kind of person we need.
We
Who
want
can tell our
we
story.
want the county on board to help select that person. Well, I don't know how,
I think the staff is more critical than the composition of the board to a large in part, because that's the driving engine on reaching out and maintaining, communications.
Absolutely.
One of the biggest problems I have, outside of many, but is that every time we ask a question, it goes back to, and I'm not being rude because I understand how things are, but, well, that's up to the board to decide. That's up to the board to decide. And that's why my position's been, why do we just not sit back and let this board figure things out and then go from there?
But that's what we want to do. We formed this new corporation with the board. The bylaws, the bylaws just give an outline. You have to stay within what the bylaws dictate, but all the detailed decisions beyond that are up to that board. We want you all to be on that board.
Our voice has not been heard. And
Well, then if it hasn't been heard in the past, it'll be heard on this board.
Yes.
One thing
Well, the proof is in the pudding. We're a year at a time. If we decide to do this collectively as a corp.
So have you guys just changed your name, or have you actually put in new, have you gone through new re-registration for the state, or?
The articles of incorporation were updated. The name was changed in the articles. Yeah, so that's not a new corporation, it's just a name change. And our articles, just FYI, for those who'd like to go way back, John, the articles that we're under are the CDC articles from 1996, which were amended in 98, then 2008, and 2014, and it'll be amended again now. So the articles were updated with the name change, yes.
To your point, the criteria will tell you, where you are on this. It's all based on criteria, whatever they use. However, when I went to the second one, and that's why I went to the second, because I didn't know the criteria, I found similarities that needed to be changed, and that's where I came to the conclusion, I need to share this with some folks.
Yeah.
I think some of the point that Jason may be getting to, Alan and Jerry, is that we have a prospective customer of Constitution Square that needs a spot that is a community-related entity with the Great American Brass Band Festival. We need to get them in there as soon as possible, and whatever that entity is, we probably, since there is a name change, and we are currently temporarily out of the old EDP as it existed, we probably need to look at renegotiating our arrangement on the leasing arrangements at Constitution Square, so we have our degree of ownership, landlord.
Did Great American get in there? Did they get in there?
There's been nothing done.
Huh?
I mean, conversations have happened, but
Here, I would like to ask you to make sure that happens as soon as possible.
Per the lease.
Yeah.
You all work the sub, and then you bring it to us for approval. So essentially, this is us saying, we approve the Great American Brass Band Festival, having an office in there.
Okay,
in fact, I would like to vote on that as a matter of record.
I'll make that motion.
Forward.
I'll second it.
Motion made to approve prospective customer of Great American Brass Band Festival office to be at Constitution Square, made by Magistrate Cole and seconded by Magistrate Simmons. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. So there's aye.
And I'll follow up again on getting them in.
And Dwayne has the key. We can make it happen ASAP, just as soon as.
Just putting Terry together with Tom, Terry or Josh together with
They've
Tom.
talked. Tom and Terry have talked.
So they're ready to rock.
Okay, then they can rock.
He said something about the board and then whatever, and I don't.
No, it should have been.
It should have been handled.
Okay.
One thing
I'll
I'd
make
like to
sure.
go back to the statement earlier is about two entities and they can't get along. You go out to general public is not like this either. They want to see county and city get along. Am I right, Mr. Turbyfill?
Absolutely.
And you can talk to them, and they'll read the paper, and then they'll laugh at how stupid maybe we are for doing some of these things that we're doing. Why can't you get along? I don't know how many times I've heard people say that to me. Why can't you all get along to the city? Or the city get along with you guys? And, you know.
It's that McDonald's
So,
coffee crew.
We passed the motion to have a joint meeting. I don't know where that went. At our last meeting, we did that.
The city rejected that opportunity.
Let the record.
See, there we go again.
Let the record reflect the city rejected that opportunity.
Of not getting along. I mean, like Jason's saying, you know, I'm not crawfish or anything, but every time we get ready to do something, there's an individual or somebody that blocks it or says, no, we don't need that. Like you probably told the judge that, no, we don't want to do that. Why wouldn't they want to meet with us?
Well, I think, and I can't, you know, they can speak for themselves on that, but my understanding is they felt like it was gonna be better conversations at a different level, at basically just talking about this through the EDA and that, at that level, the EDA has been doing a lot of work on this with President Roush's support and leadership.
They wanted to look at that.
That was my understanding.
Why my comeback, quite honestly, let's just kick the can down the road again. The can has been kicked for several years, and most of the people in this room would agree to it. I'm sorry, folks, the family dinner conversation about how much money in my pocket is probably most nights now.
Yeah.
Kicking the can isn't gonna get it.
But I do want to, no, and I agree, and that's what I keep saying. We need to get together because we're losing time every day. But Mayor Paris was here. He actually addressed that concern about the city-county meeting, sitting right there in that chair last time about that being done at the EDA.
Since I've been called his boy, I've totally disagreed with him, and he knows it because I've expressed it.
Well, fact, we can't get nothing done if we don't work together.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
I mean, it's not gonna happen. If y'all do your thing and we do our thing, guess what? It's going nowhere. We're still kicking that can down that road. So if we don't get together and work together,
let's do it.
We're not, where's our county gonna go? I mean, it's gonna go nowhere. We've got to do something.
Let's talk about that. But
That's what we've been doing for
we're kicking the can down.
how long have we been talking about that?
I don't want this to be perceived as kicking the can down the road, but we are absent with one magistrate right now that's been our representative on EDP. And before we take a vote, I would like to him to be considered as being a participant on what our move is going forward, and he can't do that absentia not being here today. So I would like to defer.
I agree with that.
Defer until we have a complete court available to us.
You need a motion to that effect, Judge?
No.
No, don't need a motion. If it's okay with the court, then we'll defer any kind of vote until a later date and moving forward.
Well, I'll make a motion, we table it, so.
That's fine, that's fine.
There's nothing to table.
Well, it's a consideration for a complete full court.
That's right. We're tabling it, whether or not to vote down, huh?
Okay. I don't think it requires a vote, but I appreciate that. Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you all. I appreciate your time, appreciate the discussion. We look forward to working with you
Thank you.
for that common goal.
Well done. That's right.
All right,
Thanks.
you have a good day.
Hey, Gary, go over to Springfield and bring Hal Gould back with you.
Want me to bring Hal back? See him, what's today?
Tuesday, the
See him
20th.
Friday.
Yeah.
I'll see him Friday.
Good to see you.
Thank you all.
See ya.
Thank you.
All
All
right,
right,
good opportunity.
Darlene, County Treasurer, tax rates.
Oh, yeah. I'll be a little quicker than that last part. I think that, after.
Darlene, I hate to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
Come on, Phil.
Jason has taken up most of Tom's time since Tom's not here, so you can finish him off.
Oh, I can. tax rates, I am going to recommend taking the compensating rate. We're still going to be generating the same, if not more revenue, so.
I'll make that motion.
What is that rate just for the?
What is
Oh,
that
I'm
rate?
sorry, it is 6.4.
What has it been?
It was at 6.6.
Okay,
motion.
I understand.
We're reducing the tax, and I second Jamie's motion.
Who made the motion? Jamie made the motion to take the compensate, which is, made by Magistrate Gates, seconded by Magistrate Simmons, which is a tax reduction from at 6.4%.
Right. Public needs to know that.
Absolutely. Is there any questions or comments or discussions about that recommendation? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Phil Simmons did.
Good, thank you. And also there's the second page for the soil conservation. And it actually, the compensating rate and 4% increase are actually the same. They have on the form at a 0.01. So compensating tax rate of a 0.01 would be my recommendation for soil
take the-
conservation.
Make that motion as well.
Second it.
Motion made by Magistrate Gaines, second from Magistrate for the Soil Conservation District to take the rate of 0.01%, which is the compensating tax rate. Are there any questions about that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. What else do you have?
I am good.
You good on everything else? Okay.
I'm good for the moment.
All right. Let's go around the room for district report and start out with Magistrate Simmons.
No, sir, don't have anything.
Don't have anything? Magistrate Short?
None.
Nothing? Magistrate Gay?
Just to say that Center College is coming back into session. We have 410 new first-year students arriving this Wednesday. Some have already trickled back in through other, through athletics and other things, but I think it's important to note that obviously has a economic impact on the community as the students come back into town. And I also think it's important to recognize that of those 410 first-year students that arrive, a certain percentage of those will make Danville and Boyle County their forever home. And that's
Does the school know what that typically has been in the past?
I don't know. It'd be interesting to know, but as we all know, there's plenty of those that come to this community from other parts of the country or state.
Mostly Jefferson County.
That stay.
Largely.
And this becomes their home. So
What's the total enrollment gonna be this year, do you know?
I think it's going to be just short of. No, it slipped back a little bit as through COVID. It should be right around 1,300.
About 1,400 next year.
It was. It gotten up to about 1,450,
Yeah.
and then it slipped back about 100 or so. So we'll see. I think last year we were at 1,280 on campus and or enrolled.
I know we're getting close to 1,500.
Yeah. But that COVID hurt us and we slipped back.
Anything else? John?
I drove around your football field yesterday. It's gonna be tough playing up there.
I know. They're practicing on it, but it's gonna be tough playing. They're gonna play the first home game is gonna be played over at Danville Stadium.
They're gonna have to move some equipment. Just quickly, Damien, you're exactly right. Wonderful folks who graduate from there, and I'm not aware, and this is a missed opportunity, that they have really been solicited by the EDP or whoever you want to call them today. And I think that's just a missed opportunity at trying to pull and encourage people to raise their families here who graduated from Center. So that's all.
Jason?
Me? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. We have the Firehouse Dedication. It's going to be happening this Friday. I think it's at 11 a.m.
Yeah, what time we meet?
Well, we can meet there at 11 or a little bit before, as a court.
Yeah.
11 a.m.
We don't need to be here first or whatever.
Do you want to?
I think it'd be a good idea.
I think it'd be a good idea if you want to meet here at 11:15 and walk
Friday.
down as a group.
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah, I'll be out of town. I'm going to visit the grandkids, but you all carry on.
Think about you.
Going to visit the North Carolina grandkids.
Ronnie, can you be here?
I have to look at my schedule.
I don't think Tom will be out of quarantine by then.
He may not
He
be.
should be.
Yeah,
About
he said
days.
Friday.
Oh, he did say Friday he could be
Yeah.
out?
Oh, well, there you go.
That's
So-
what, unless something's.
Let's meet here at 10:45 to go down there together.
All right.
Can somebody send a memo out, remind me?
Yeah. Julie, can we do that?
I'll again take care of you.
I appreciate it.
Somebody call Ronnie.
Yeah, call me.
10:44. You go, Ron. Friday, Saturday, Soul of Second Street Festival happening. I believe it's over at the Norton Center. Is what I heard Michael Hughes talk about. Friday is the history conference, and then Saturday is the festival. So, speaking of Norton Festival, Norton and festivals on September 3rd, Deaf Fest will be held at the Norton Center. Anywhere between 7,000 and 10,000 people are going to be showing up for one day, which means they'll probably get here Friday, and then they'll probably either leave Saturday or Sunday.
You know, this is the last court session we have scheduled before that occurs. What do we need to be doing, be plugged in to be that welcoming? You know, I've not really heard much about it from the.
Should be Kendall, should be leading the charge with this from Convention Visitors Bureau.
Okay.
So that should be our main point of contact. I think it's Jennifer from our local interpreting. Will also have interpreters standby for that 24 hours to in case there's any needs for them or whatever. And you know, more than anything, get yourself over to one of the performances. They're fantastic performances. This Deaf Fest started here. It moved away for a while, but it's back for the 200th anniversary of KSD. So.
Do I need to reach out to Kendall and see if there's an opportunity for a welcoming statement to the participants?
I would highly encourage that.
Okay.
Yep.
He should reach out to you.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, I'll call him, but.
Well, we're within 2 weeks though, so he may have you on his list. But you know, Kentucky Handsome Voices is the group that's really kind of putting this together. So I have contacts there through dealing with them with my son. So it's getting a little cooler at night, so means we're nearing the end of the farmers market, which I don't know how many of y'all have been out to that. I'm sure John's there quite often, but please go out. It's a fantastic farmers market that this court started. You know, we brought them back from Danville High School back to Constitution Square.
Great, yeah.
And it was a wonderful service for this community and for the farmers around. And man, I've gotten some of the best beef and vegetables I've ever had there. So.
Seems like you have a big crowd there.
Yeah.
Customers out down there the other day on Saturday.
Right. You got to get down there early enough because some of the people that are cooking their own stuff are selling out. I missed tacos though. They got mad.
If you want some high front or beans, you better get down there real early.
Right.
What kind of beans?
High front.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know.
They just had one, but I'm going to mention it again because it's happening pretty quick. But Junction City is having their pancake breakfast again on September 10th. They had an excellent crowd out there this past weekend, and it was good time. So please support the fire department auxiliary. And then for my friend that's not here, that's resting, probably driving his missus crazy. It's not too early to start talking about the 160th battle commemoration, which is in October 7th and 8th in Parable. So make sure we start planning on that. So.
Sounds good.
And that is all I have. I will say if I got a little too heated with anybody, I'm sorry, but those numbers that John points out really bothers me.
It's important, those numbers are important.
As a former
Yeah, we should
employer,
be number 1 instead of number 13.
as a former employer, I really wanted a lot of my employees to stick around here and find opportunities in Boyle County. Most of them won't stay. And so we continue to send our best and brightest out instead of looking for opportunities. I think if we do join, we really need to make sure that there's a focused, concentrated effort on getting out of this industrial mentality and start looking for things that we can actually compete for here. We're too far from interstates, we're too far from lots of stuff where, you know, with the price of gas and the price of diesel, we all know that everybody's looking to save as much as they can, and they're not gonna wanna truck things all the way to the interstates when we're so far, we're landlocked. So we need to do more with technology, more with medical. So if we're involved, we need to make sure we greatly push that instead of what we've always done in the past, where we try to land these big factories that are going to produce these things that have to go out on trucks. So, anyway.
And now, I think traditionally we do district reports in addition to, on the last of the month court session, we do committee reports. Are there any outstanding committee reports that need to be made?
I thought that was the case. Mine are in the mailbox, so let's just do it for the next time.
Okay. Please check your mailbox, because there's some stuff in there as it relates to invitations for the Friday event and some other things. Please check your mailbox just before you leave today.
I thought I saw $20 in your pen.
Okay.
Yeah, look now.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and if the court would bear with me for just a moment, we're double checking some other information, as far as.
There's different rates that need to be voted on, including personal property rate, watercraft rate, aircraft rate, motor vehicle rate. Whether we keep it the same, just going up.
Just don't go up, Lord help.
You have that information in your packets, and
Real property, is that one? Ours. Ours was the 6.4. Informational only, it says watercraft motor vehicle is 6.9, but it says informational only. No hearing required, no recall.
I believe that we need to vote on
Just
maintaining
being
the
said.
compensating rate, which would stay the same as it has been.
Yeah, I think that's what we've done in the past. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, on those, what, you want to state those rates again, Counselor?
What is the personal property rate also?
Too high.
I was gonna say, I'm sorry, the personal property rate,
Kills you.
oh, wait a minute, I'm on the wrong place. I was looking at the wrong thing. It was 7.8 last year. I don't think that they sent
I
me.
didn't know you was high, though,
Look, is that
They didn't.
6.6?
That's the real property.
No,
Oh,
that's
that's
the
the
real
real.
property rate. They didn't send me anything. With a different.
Let's, we need to take a minute and get this resolved. Would you like for the PVA to try and come down and make a
Yeah, I'm sorry, I've not received anything that's got a different property.
Are we up
personal
against a
property rate.
date, time frame here?
Yes, September 1st.
September 1st?
Mm-hmm.
Well, can't we just vote on, just leave it the same?
I think we need to know what that rate is for public information, so.
I think I'd do a quick recess.
Huh?
I would do a quick recess.
Okay, let's take about I've got 7 or 8 till, let's take a 8-minute recess, and come back at 1100 hours, to get those numbers squared
All
away.
right,
Okay?
go talk to the.
Is that motion to, we don't need a motion to recess, we'll recess till 1100 hours.
All right.
Yeah.
I was wondering, Jerry guy was. He goes, I've seen him at my church, but I never knew who he was.
Jerry Carter? Yeah, very nice guy.
He's like from close to where, I mean, I guess he lived, I'm from Monroe County, so very good. Yeah, I was interested.
Because I just saw 7.6 for personal property.
Oh, did it go?
I can agree with that, if you allow for it.
I know.
Yeah, recess is back, we got everybody back, recess is over. So we're back in session.
Get that squared away.
Does that sound like an appropriate plan for everybody?
Sound like winter.
Okay.
Seems
so-
like we're missing a page here on the rate calculation sheet.
Okay, Counselor, do you have anything?
I was just gonna say, I wasn't at the last meeting because I had
You were in
applied,
Texas.
was granted the scholarship from the Kentucky State Police to go to the Crimes Against Children conference in Dallas, which was like probably the best conference I've ever gone to. A lot of times you go to these conferences and somebody's speaking, you're like, you know, you're trying to stay awake or whatever, but I mean, there's so many topics that you could choose from to go to, and it was like probably it was the best conference I've ever been to, and it's really interesting because I took this one course which hopefully I'm going to be able to develop like a PowerPoint and speak to groups and stuff about it. It's just talking about social media and our children, like cell phones and so forth, and man, it's like, it was pretty scary. And I mean, I went back home and I'm like, man, I'm a bad dad because I wasn't policing it. You know, you want to think that your children are just doing all the right things, but maybe they are, but maybe they don't have a certain option turned off, like location or whatever, and you know, that could, it's where people can, you know, see, monitor you and so forth. And so yeah, it was pretty scary. And then you want to think too, well, this can't happen. This kind of stuff doesn't happen in our community. You know, I made friends with this one lady, and she had worked for the Lawrenceburg Police Department. Now she's with the Attorney General's office, and you know, that following weekend she was doing a sting as far as she's going to be like a 14-year-old girl talking to, you know, older people, and they were going to meet in Ashland, come across, you know, state line or whatever. And so they caught several people, but you think, well, this doesn't happen in Boyle County. Well, I came back last week, and you know, we have a 22-year-old who charged with some very bad offenses regarding a young child, you know, that we had in court that we've sent on to the grand jury, and hopefully we'll get federal will come in. But we're having a lot of these lately, and just a lot of just, you know, internet sexual children having you know, pictures and stuff, where we've had several people lately involved in that where we've had arrests. So yes, it does happen in small town Danville.
Happens everywhere.
It happens everywhere. So anyway, it's very enlightening, and so I really enjoyed the conference. And I just wanted to just tell you all about that. And coming up again, we have our the Bourbon Chase, September 30th, October 1st. I think the theme's something about small town or hometown pride or whatever. So I hope that Boyle County, Danville, you know, will do something to welcome the runners in, because I mean, we're like we're a spot, we're the hub where the runners, one van stops and the other van starts. You know, a lot of people, I mean, I remember, you know, in years past, you see people, they're sleeping on the sidewalk here in the parking lot at the courthouse. They're sleeping at Constitutional Square. Danville, at one point, maybe not because of COVID here lately, but they, you know, they had people, they opened up their gym, you know, they made money by allowing them to shower and so forth. So yeah, so I mean, we're having a lot of people coming to that, as well as the Death Fest. I didn't realize that many people would be coming to that. So we've got a lot of cool things happening in Danville and Boyle County.
And the Goldwings are here too, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I.
So, the plan is that when we adjourn today, we'll reconvene for a brief, and we'll advertise it in the paper, a brief session to get the full rate and disclosure on the difference between the two different taxes that we need to vote on, so the public knows what we're doing. And yes, sir.
Just one quick question. You know, rates are beginning to change. We're seeing changes as Washington adjusts everything. Are we shopping our bank rates?
We are.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We are.
I thought we were, but I just wanted to clarify.
We are. Okay, so, two things that I've got, if everybody else has done. We've brought Tim Webb back. Many of you remember Tim that worked in Public Works. We brought him back in a part-time capacity. primarily do weed eating and grass cutting and some other things in that area. And which he has a lot to say grace over with Constitution Square and White's Park, Veterans Park, Memorial, and some other things. So we're excited he's back on the clock in a part-time capacity and going to be doing a great job because he takes real pride in what he does.
He knows each area real well.
Real well.
Yeah. That's good hire.
Yeah. And this Saturday, there's the recycling event out at the Government Service Center that Angie Muncie will be hosting, and that's been very, very successful. Where you can no tires, as they said in the city. No
Bring
tires.
your paint, but no tires.
Bring your paint, but no tires. And last year it was very successful, and we made quite a bit of money off of those things that people recycled and brought in. So
Is the radio station gonna be there like they were?
the radio station will be there like they were last year. Burgers and
Dogs.
yeah, dogs.
Burgers and hot dogs.
So I remind everybody to go out there and support that because that's been a very successful event for this county in the last few years under Angie's direction. So
No tires.
no tires. That's all I have. We'll reconvene on Friday at 10:30 right here to go over the tax rates and approve those. And look forward to seeing everybody then. Have a good rest of the week. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion's been made to adjourn by Magistrate Sammons, and is there a second? Oh, yeah, he forgot he did that earlier when we weren't on the motion, but seconded by Magistrate Short. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. We stand adjourned.